first of all, Deidre, welcome to the show. Glad to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Mike. I enjoyed our phone conversation. I just look forward to chatting with you more today.
Me too. Me too. So let's get started. So give us, just for the sake of the audience, I've given them kind of the headline, your name and how to pronounce it. So they're wondering the company that you're with, and all this guys will be in the show notes. But Deidre, tell us a little bit of kind of your story, because your journey to where you are today, to me, was very captivating when we talked on the phone.
It was an interesting journey. So I, being in the mental health field for 15 years, which was really, that's a whole nother story. God led, not something I wanted to do. But I did that. Right. And I still kind of do that some. But in my 15-year career, I actually hit burnout three distinct times that I recall. It was during my third experience that it actually took a toll on my health. My doctor, who does functional medicine, right? So more preventative, get to the root cause of stuff. In a visit with him, and this would have been in 2018, he said, "Your job is killing you. And if you don't make a change, I can't help you." And that was my biggest eye opener of wow, where I had allowed my body to get. And it was truly from burnout, right? I was working, and this is very literal when I say 24/7. I'm not kidding. I was at work almost 24/7, whether it was crisis situations or adolescents who ran away from our facility, and right, trying to help with all these programs. So it literally kept me out all night on top of my day job. But what was really significant for me was I knew something had to change, and I knew the Lord said it's time to move on because of how quickly I hit burnout. And that led to I changed jobs, thought a different facility structure would provide what I needed to heal. That was a very short stint that lasted 8 months before it closed, which I truly believe was another, part of that process that God led me in. And I had the ability to just truly focus on my health, right? With unemployment, came back to family, my parents' home, just to recover and get that support. And that's part of, right, my journey. But really where burnout had gotten for me was I couldn't even walk 100 feet without pain, and I couldn't stand for 10 minutes. And my medical labs were awful, right? I kept heading towards diabetes and all these other things. And that was really that
So
journey.
Deidre, let's stop. Let's camp there for just a
Yeah.
second,
Yeah.
because I want you to clarify something for our listeners. I know a lot of people, when they think of burnout, they think lack of energy, lack of motivation, they're blah, they're angry. I mean, and I know that those are symptoms of burnout, but you're describing something much bigger than that. I mean, you say I can walk 100 yards without pain. I mean, unpack this a little bit, the the severity of the symptoms, because the method to my madness is, I know for a fact, based on research we've done, that many of our BAM audience, our BAM practitioners, struggle with burnout and they don't even know what's going on. They just know they're having the kind of experiences that you had. So talk a little bit about what that was like, please.
Let me first kind of share just a little bit of science, if you will, because it will make this part of the information a lot more sense. So, God didn't design our bodies to function in a state of stress, right? And when we are in stress mode, think of it like survival mode, that fight or flight. That is the system that gets triggered when we are in a stressful experience. And for me, it was nonstop, right? It was stress after stress. Well, what happens to our body, right? When we're in this heightened state of stress, our mind and our body turn off natural functions, which means my body is not going to digest food like it's supposed to, which is why people either don't get hungry or they go for sugary foods because they want that energy boost, right? And so when my body turns off those natural functions because it wants to put all that energy into that adrenaline into get through that stressful situation. And so when my body was constantly functioning in this heightened state of stress, what happened was my joints developed arthritis, and I was in my mid 30s when this started. Too young for arthritis to show up, right? But that's what happened. It was showing up in my thumb. And then all of a sudden it was in my knee. My knee was double in size and I couldn't bend it. I couldn't stand on it. So when I say it shows up physically, that's what happens because stress puts us into fight or flight, and we're not supposed to stay in that state for too long. So it does start to take a toll on your health physically, right? And so when we talk about those signs and symptoms, yes, it's lack of energy, it's exhaustion, it's probably not sleeping, it's not motivated, but it's also starting to question, why am I doing this? What's the point? We lose that connection of, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I can't function. I don't want to make decisions. And some people isolate. I don't want to be around anybody. I stopped going to social events. I don't want to see external family, right? All those things are signs that we're functioning in burnout too long. And it's really driven my passion of, too many people have a mission. And coming from the behavioral health field, I want to see people stay in those fields. And I don't want people to get the physical issues that I did, right? I have been able to recover a lot of that in my journey.
So you hit this wall, and you said you hit it 3 times. So where? So tell me what you were learning, and as you're going through your journey, I don't want to stop you every point, but I'm fascinated by this. So
The first 2 episodes of burnout, I did what we all do. We have this perception I have to push through, I can't stop, right? And when I'm the only financial person for my house, being a single person living by myself, I can't not have income. And so it was that mentality of, I have to push through, keep going. That third time, I was, I think more into, like, I've always been in tune and hearing from the Lord. And that time, I think I was more in tune, but I had healed so much from some lifetime health issues. And then when I really tanked and my doctor said that, right, that was really my eye opener. And then when I had these opportunities to sit on unemployment for 6 months and truly focus on my health, that's when I started making some connections of, why have I allowed myself to get burnt out multiple times, right? And I started looking at some different aspects of, what is that, right? My personality, my Enneagram number was really the one I went down. But it wasn't until I looked at those while I was healing the emotional part, the physical part, right? Because my burnout, and this is why I'm so passionate about this, Mike, I didn't just stay in burnout for the better part of a year. My burnout actually moved into secondary traumatic stress, or as most people will consider PTSD. I had PTSD symptoms. That it was so, I had hit that point so bad that even with my family, so aunts, uncles, cousins at a Christmas dinner, I didn't want any of them behind me. I had to sit with my wall to the back, or I was constantly looking over my shoulder, wondering who's behind me. And I trusted them all. Right?
they weren't a danger to you. This was just happening. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just my body's physiological response because I had functioned in that heightened stress state for so long that it went beyond that. And that's really where I say, this is the mission and passion God put on my heart, was, I don't want other people to get to that point. That was terrible. Right? I couldn't believe I had gotten there.
As I listen to you talk, I look back on my life, my career, multiple careers, and I think, I would have said I was burned out at different times, and now listening to you talk, like, no, I was in the waiting pool. I had not, thankfully, not gotten to true burnout, because what you're describing is so significant, and I'm wondering, hoping, as some of our listeners are hearing you share your story, some are going, okay, I'm not burned out, I'm just tired. Okay, fine. But still a warning signal, right? Don't press it's still a warning signal. But the other would be, that there are some going, so this is serious. I personally am in a serious spot right now. I'm going to need some help. I'm hoping that they'll get that from your stories.